of America. I am your host, DeVince Allen Leland McFarland Sr., aka Versace Vince, aka Ray-Ban Vince, aka Councilman Vince, hopefully. So, welcome to the show. I hope everybody's doing well, of course, as always. This is a fun show. This is a show where we joke around, we have a good time, you know. We fix our phone so it's stationary, right? Because we definitely don't want to be distracted while we're driving, for sure. But luckily, we have a car that drives itself. It's self-driving, and it's got all this wonderful Toyota safety technology. And we really appreciate that. We really appreciate our Toyota. Excuse me. In my opinion, Toyota is the best car ever made. A lot of people disagree with that, but that's okay. There's more than one flavor of ice cream for a reason, guys. We can all like what we like, have what we want, and I can like what you can like what you like, I can like what I like. And yeah, we got some pretty trees growing. Some pretty trees growing in the forest there. But yeah, the title of the video, Bald Cypress Forest. We have created, to my knowledge, I haven't seen any bald cypress trees around here. They're not native to Michigan. They can certainly grow in Michigan and thrive even, but it's hard for the seeds to reproduce, or the trees to reproduce with their seeds because of the long winters. So, but we have successfully planted 8 bald cypress trees in the former area. We had to clear it out. I mean, it was a poison ivy patch, and it was just, you know, basically a dumping ground. I think the previous owner had used it to dispose of a lot of dirt and whatnot. And so, you know, we had to remove all that, clean it all out, and we decided that we were going to plant some trees that, you know, increase the biodiversity. We did plant some black tupelos, 3 of those as well. We planted about 6 on the property total, and you know, those are really nice trees as well, black tupelos. But yeah, we have the bald cypress forest. We're probably gonna do 2 or 3 more. We want about a dozen or so trees, and I believe it's the first of its kind in the area that I'm aware of. But bald cypress trees are amazing trees. My favorite tree, outside of a good old cottonwood, I love me a good old cottonwood. Great firewood. The cottonwood tree has been good to me, right? We appreciate the cottonwood tree, but it does not stand a candle to the bald cypress. In Zook Pond, we are still waiting on our construction date when we're going to start. We don't quite have that date. We have an idea, but you know, bureaucracy is what it is, and the state of Michigan is never easy to deal with. And obviously the city of Wayne, you know, they're making their last ditch efforts to try to shut down Zook Pond, but not gonna work. Not gonna work. They're just mad. Well, one of the reasons why they're mad is because I just don't give a shit, right? So, you know, I don't care about their feelings. I don't care about, you know, how it makes them look. I mean, how could you make them look any worse than they already are? You know, they covered up the murder of a disabled veteran named John Zook Jr. and a combat veteran, and you know, executed him in front of his child, his son, and yeah, fucked up. fucked up situation. And Donald Quarles said that, he felt scared during that whole meeting because his family members and his friends, they wanted the video of their, son being, their son, brother, and friend being executed. One of the evidence of it, and the city of Wayne didn't want to release it because, because they're scum fucks of the earth. What else is new? And, they made his poor mother and father suffer in agony. And then Donald Quarles said he felt scared, right? Even though Mulholland, right, Matthew Mulholland, Councilman Mulholland, he had stated that he didn't feel scared during any part of the meeting. And so that was rather interesting, I must say. That was rather interesting. So, Donald Quarles, he's scared of videos. He's scared of people, exercising their rights, obviously. I guess that would be scary when you're, more red than Larry the Lobster. Well, I was going to tell Donald Quarles, I don't know if you're listening. If you are, how you doing? But if there's anything that you need to be scared of, Mr. Quarles, it's your heart giving out. It's meeting the Grim Reaper. So, you're obviously morbidly obese and you have more chins than a Chinese phone book. And so, I'd be scared about that, right? I'd be scared about, what's your family going to do if you're, fat, decrepit ass croaks and dies of a heart attack or a stroke, right? So that would be where my focus would be, if I was him and I was scared, right? Scared for anything. But obviously that requires work, and clearly that person hasn't done any physical labor in quite some time. And him and his boy Kevin Dowd, they're both, just medically they're falling apart. You can see clearly Kevin Dowd can hardly walk, and he looks like just absolute shit physically. And Donald Quarles does as well, to be quite frank. I've never seen a human being so red before. So, I mean, like I said, I would be more worried about, their health and, all that. But, they're more worried about passing open burn ordinances 2025-02 10 months after the fact, right? So, yeah, they like to pass open burn ordinances that give them unfettered discretion to do what they want, right? Because, that's totally lawful. It's not at all, and the city of Wayne's finding that out. But I don't think it matters how many judges you get to tell them they're wrong. They're still not going to acknowledge it, and they're still going to try to defy the truth and defy really all reality. So that's just kind of their prerogative, I guess. But it's not a real popular strategy, I gotta say. But of course, this is CBD, of course, so don't get it twisted. Don't get your panties twisted. I know you'd love to. I know you'd love to so much. Especially you, Chad Caldwell, right? Chad Cuckwell, right? Why is every cuck in the city of Wayne? You got Mark Blackwell, and then you got Caldwell, right? Why do they both? I don't understand. But yeah, Chad Cuckwell and Mark Cuckwell. Well, I'm talking about Chad Cuckwell right now. So Chad Cuckwell, if you're listening, I hope you slip and fall on a banana peel and break your fucking neck, and I hope you choke on a bag of dicks. And the only lieutenant that you are is a lieutenant of idiocracy and a lieutenant of chicanery. But your time's coming too, Bum. Don't worry about it. Your lawsuit's coming too. I have it ready. I have it drafted for you. I was going to drop it for you on Friday, right? So you can have a really nice weekend, right? We want you to have a really good weekend. So we're going to drop that lawsuit for you probably on Friday. It might be tomorrow. Who knows? It might be Monday, right? But we want to either end your week on a high note or we want to start your week on a high note. So one of the two. Since you got time to watch my YouTube videos while you're getting paid on the clock. So, good luck with that. Good luck with that, buddy. Can't wait for Discovery. Can't wait for Discovery. It's ought to be fun. But you know, you can't teach, you know, good moral character. You either have it or you don't. But that's something we can start hiring for, right? You know, we don't have to approve scumbags. We don't have to allow dirtballs that use, you know, handcuffs as improvised weapons, right? What's up, Killjoy? How you doing, buddy? So, you know, but then we have, so right now we got 3 lawsuits. We got the bulletin board, right? So for the past, well, over a month now, for the past going on 2 months, the city of Wayne has censored my speech. They've destroyed my private property. They've censored my speech. And, you know, we're going to figure it out, because the city of Wayne City Hall, the building has 3 bulletin boards. 2 of them are under lock and key. One of them's just open to the public. And, you know, for some reason, the city of Wayne doesn't like my content for some reason. So we're going to figure out why that is. And, of course, we're going to figure out how many times my my content has been destroyed. Because it's been more than once. It's been more than once. And we have them on video more than once. So that'll be a First Amendment lawsuit, right? For the bulletin board, right? Because you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't change rules on the fly, and your policies don't supersede my constitutional rights. They never have. They never will. But from there, we have the lawsuit against Rob Darwich and the Hype Center, and the officer who gave me a trespassed me from the polling location, the Hype Center, without committing a crime, right? No crime. I'm on the ballot for city council. So that is interesting shit. How a sitting councilman can trespass a councilman on the ballot, right? A councilman to be, or aspiring councilman, right? It's rather interesting that he can trespass me from the Hype Center, which the city of Wayne regularly uses the Hype Center for different events and governmental functions. But most importantly, that is the only location where you can vote in the city of Wayne, right? So I was trespassed without committing a crime by a sitting councilman from the Hype Center, which he's the general manager of. I got trespassed from there without committing a crime by the councilman, Darwich. So that's going to be interesting, you know, lawsuit there, because that directly impacts my right to vote. And the police made a comment, which I don't think is going to help them. They made a comment on the video that, well, I can just ask for police escort, right? Or I can call them beforehand, which of course I would never do, right? I'm going to go down there and I'm going to vote like everybody else, and I'm going to wait for these dumbasses to arrest me. And then I'm going to have me another lawsuit. That's how we do these idiots, because they are idiots after all. The biggest idiots really in the history of the world, if I'm telling you the truth. But yeah, we have a lawsuit for that, right? Because, you know, as of now, I've been banned from voting. So that's good job on that one, guys. You really thought that one out, didn't you? Well, I wouldn't expect nothing less out of a steroid freak like Rob Darwich, right? A juice head, right? Go shoot up some more steroids in your ass, Rob. You know, it's not making you think any clearer, though. But I wouldn't expect a radical Muslim terrorist to think clearly at all. So go fuck yourself. And I'll make sure to send you a bag of bacon for your birthday, you little cuck bitch. 'Cause that's what you are, a little cuck bitch. So, you know, your boy trying to press me, right? Your boy over there didn't scare me. I called him a punk bitch too. Called him out. He didn't do nothing, of course. You know, as I'm leaving, he's walking towards me, trying to be a tough guy. It didn't work out too well for him. But yeah, next time I'll just carry me some bacon cologne, right? I'll just put some bacon cologne, or I'll get some bacon flavored deodorant, or some bacon flavored, you know, toothpaste or something, right? Or I'll just carry a pack of bacon on me, right? That ought to deter them from walking towards me, because they all smell like shit, right? They all smell like shit. They smell like El Ziyadi, right? He smells like, you know, he's the police officer that maliciously prosecuted me on May 9th. His breath smells like literal dog shit, which, you know, no surprises. They fuck goats and shit over there after all. They fuck their own cousins. So, you know, I've been over there. I've been over to Afghanistan. Lots of incest, lots of inbreeding, lots of bestiality. Really, you know, it's like I said, you know, when your Prophet Muhammad, you know, married a minor, right? Married a child, right? That's your golden boy. That's your so-called prophet, you know, who raped and married a child. Yeah, go fuck yourself, right? You and your fake ass religion, right? Your dog shit religion. Religion of dog shit is what it is. Incompatible with Western civilization, by and large, right? Not to say that every Muslim, you know, is a piece of shit, right? But they all worship pedophiles, so I don't know. It's a little weird. A little bit weird, I gotta say. Just a tad bit strange, but I'm a Muslim, though. I'm a Muslim. I'm monotheist, right? I believe in one God, so I am a Muslim by definition, but I'm not that kind of Muslim, no. Not those kind of Muslims. Not the Sharia law pig fucking Muslims, no. I'm not into that. Not into Sharia law, not into pig fucking, not into idolizing a false prophet who's a pedophile, not into all that, guy. Not into all that crazy shit, right? Even that's too much for me, way too much for me. So, that's just the facts. Just like your boy Abdul Hanus, or I call him Al Anus. You know, sounds like he just came off the boat, been in the city of Wayne. Well, he's been scamming, frauding in the city of Wayne his whole life. Right? Party store owner. Getting people addicted to alcohol and tobacco. Party store, liquor store owner. Bob. Parasite. That's what he is. Right? He's another one of those Allah worshippers, right? The pedophile worshippers. Because that's what it is. I mean, it's verified fact, right? Your prophet married a child. So, I don't know. It's kind of weird, right? Kind of weird that people support that shit, but a lot of idiots in this world, a lot of dumbasses, I'll tell you that. A lot of dumb fucks. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do besides, you know, create Zook Pond and tell the man to go fuck himself, right? Every chance you can, every chance you get, tell these pieces of shit to suck a bag of dicks and choke and die on a bag of dicks, rather. Because that's what these department chair heads, that's what they are. They're vile scumbags of the earth. What up, Joe? 1867. Joe W. Question for you guys. Would you rather see a tree grow or a knee grow? Would you rather see a tree grow or a knee grow? That's the question. Well, the good thing with bald cypress, guys, you can actually see both at the same time. So while the bald cypress tree is growing, you can see the knees pop out from the ground, right? Because the bald cypress grows knees. It's part of its root system. So you can actually watch a tree grow and a knee grow. Just plant a bald cypress in your yard. Me personally, I would rather watch both at the same time. That's why I prefer the bald cypress tree. Because I like to watch tree grows and knee grows. So, just a little tidbit of information for you guys. Joe, keep telling it like it is. Yeah, you got to, right? no matter what. Even if it loses you votes, who gives a fuck, right? Because, you know, I'm only running for office because it's advantageous for me. I mean, it's advantageous for the city of Wayne, for the taxpayers especially, and for the residents, for the vast majority of the residents and taxpayers. It would definitely be a net positive. You know, especially not taking a salary and all that, right? It's really community service for me. But, you know, the city of Wayne, they wanted me to do community service so bad, guys. That's why they wanted to give me 18 months probation, right? They wanted me to do community service so goddamn bad, right? They were begging the judge for 18 months of it, right? That's what, you know, that was their little theory, right? Their little crackpot theory. Well, how's that working out for you, bitch? Not too well, huh? Oh well. It's what you get. That's what you get. You want to be a tough guy. You want to maliciously prosecute, falsely petition people, like Mr. Chad Colwell. Well, that's what you get. It's called federal lawsuits. It's called explain yourself to the judge, cuck bitch. That's what it's called, and that's what it's always going to be called as long as I'm the sheriff in town. As long as I'm here and I'm breathing every single time, and I'm talking to you, City of Wayne. And the police department especially, and the fire department, and all the department heads in the city of Wayne. I'm talking specifically to you, cuck bitches. Every single fucking time you violate my rights, it's going to be its own separate lawsuit. So all of those FOIA denials that you guys, you know, all those bullshit FOIA denials where you want hundreds of thousands of dollars for them all, I think at this point we're probably close to $1 million that they've requested from me for some public records. So, you know, of course, we're going to appeal. You know, that there's like 3 or 4 of them where, you know, they want 20 or 30 grand or 15, some, you know, like some made up number. And so, you know, of course, we're going to appeal those, but then we're going to be doing every FOIA is its own case number. Every FOIA is its own lawsuit. We're not going to combine them. We're not going to do you any favors. We're not going to make it easy for you, just like you did to me, right? When you broke into my property on May 9th and maliciously prosecuted and charged me with interference, despite the fact that clearly on video, well, first of all, there was no physical anything, and you didn't even attempt to put the fire out until you had illegally detained and arrested me. So I don't know where the interference was. And then, of course, you're on my property claiming that I'm violating some open burn ordinance, but it's not an ordinance, it's a policy, which means you violated my 4th Amendment to enforce a law that doesn't exist. And I guess your ego wouldn't allow you to accept the fact that you fucked up, right? But, you know, that was the whole plan. It was a pretextual encounter because, you know, as you guys had admitted in the body camera as well, you guys had admitted that, well, the fire marshal ordered you to put the fire out, right? The same guy who authored the open burn policy, and the same guy who approved the fire pit back in 2020, was it 2022 or 23, with the certificate of occupancy inspection, right? So he does all those inspections. So that's an awfully interesting dynamic there, I would say. And then, you know, of course, you didn't mention any of that to the judge. You know, hid that and lied about that and said, oh, I was violating some ordinance, case closed. And then, of course, you somehow convinced my lawyer. I had to fire the guy because, you know, holy shit. But he goes into court, Jermaine Warwick, arguing that I'm following their ordinance. And I'm like, again, I'm the only person out of all these judges and lawyers and all these special smart people, I'm the only guy that pointed out, well, wait a minute. That document says policy, and there's no ordinance number, and there's this thing called the city charter, and it's available on the internet. And as we see on the internet, several of these ordinances that are listed on this open burn policy, they've been repealed. So that is a bit interesting. I believe that's called void for vagueness doctrine. But of course, I'm the only one that knew about it, supposedly, right? Everybody else has just slipped their mind, which is just incredibly convenient, right? Just like the ROA that the 29th District Court. Sorry about that. The VA had called me and started to, you know, a little appointment reminder. Texted it, but whatever. But anywho. So yeah, I mean, it was just a very interesting dynamic. And then, you know, of course, the 29th District Court omits all reference to any discovery orders, right? Which is funny because Jermaine Warwick even put in a discovery order, appearances and demands, right? He put that in, I think it was on June 3rd. And when you look at the ROA, only the appearance portion of the motion is referenced. The portion in regards to the discovery demands, well, that's just conveniently missing again. You know, are you guys starting to notice a pattern here or a trend here? And then you're looking at the ROA, you're continuing to look at it. And then, you know, August 24th, I put in a motion to compel discovery, which was granted by the judge. And then, oh, wait a minute, there's no reference to that either in the Register of Actions. Isn't that something? Oh, because the city of Wayne, they decided to make it a transfer case to the 35th District Court. The 29th District Court Judge Brita O'Leary, she was too cowardly to hear the case, right? Because then that would have interrupted the scam, right? Because they're all department heads, they're all in a little group and shit, and you're not in the group, and you're causing Mr. McFarland. He's causing too many problems down at the city of Wayne. He's asking too many questions and, you know, being too nosy, meddling around in our business. And, you know, we just simply can't have that. And so, you know, of course, the department heads all get together and they make their decisions, and then they, you know, relay the information to the subordinates, right? To the worker bees, and then they carry out the mission. No questions asked. And then, of course, you know, they think they can all just plausibly, that's their plausible deniability, so they think. Right? They think that's their plausible deniability, where they can just play stupid and just say, oh no, you know, there's no pattern here, there's no retaliation here. It's all just one big coincidence. It's just all one big coincidence, right? It's just one big coincidence that Mr. McFarland, the day that he gets his ballots, his petitions certified, right? He turns them in, he submits them to the clerk, and signs his affidavit and submits all the paperwork to be on the ballot for city council. Amazingly, the same day, the city of Wayne had a secret hearing. Of course, was I ever notified? Of course not. Of course not. I don't have due process rights, right? I don't have a right to know I'm being accused of something. No, of course not. As a veteran, fuck no. Especially if you're a veteran. You think veterans in this country have rights? No, we have less rights than regular people do. Right? That's an open secret at this point. And yeah, it's just the whole thing. It's all one, you see, it's all just one big coincidence, right? And you know, we know his property is registered. It's listed as an owner-occupied rental property, right? Owner-occupied boarding house, as we call it, right, in our records, right? But we're going to play stupid, and we're going to try to retroactively, 10 months after the fact, take away his disabled veteran tax exemption that's guaranteed through the state. But we're going to take it away from him because he's renting out a bedroom, right? A bedroom, right? He's got an ad on Facebook saying room for rent. Notice how it doesn't say house for rent. It says room for rent, right? But I guess house and room are the same thing, right? Because a room is inside the house, so effectively, you know, it's the same thing, right? That's the retard logic here, right? And yeah, it's all just one big coincidence, though, guys. That's all, guys. It's all just one big coincidence, right? A judge has to put a discovery preservation order in, right? But that's nothing to see here. There's nothing going on here, right? It's all just one big coincidence. It's all just one big coincidence that, you know, we never had a warrant, and then we transferred his case to another court. But of course, we wouldn't turn his case over to the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office because, well, you know, we wouldn't want it to be out of our jurisdiction, right? So, you know, we got to keep it in-house, right? And then, of course, you know, every charge had to be its own case number. Well, I'm going to return the favor to you guys, of course, always. It's nothing but love here, guys. It's nothing but love. At the end of the day, City of Wayne, it's nothing but love. Straight love, right, of course, but it's just nothing but love. You guys want to, you know, maliciously prosecute me and falsely charge me and, you know, try to inflict as much emotional distress as humanly possible. Well, I'll return the favor in such ways of, and this is the context, right? Because you guys will love to take this out of context. But I'll gladly return the favor. Every time you guys violate my rights, it's its own lawsuit. It's its own case number, right? Two can play that game, right? But see, here's the thing though. I'm not $2 million in debt like the city of Wayne is, right? And to be quite honest with you, I would rather represent myself anyways, right? And if my option was Michael Bosnick or Carolyn Miller, well, I'd represent myself anyways then too. So, you know, I'm happy. I'm happy thus far with how things have gone. Right now, obviously, we haven't gotten the justice and you know, the restitution that we deserve. Right, there's still many more fights to be had, but you know, so far, I'm happy. I'm happy with how things have went, because things are going in a way where, again, the water for the city of Wayne, right? The city of Wayne jumped in a big lake, right? They jumped in a lake, but they didn't calculate that the lake is going to rise over time, right? They didn't calculate the variation of the water level. So they got into the lake when it was really, really low, right? When it was basically, I just dug the pond. I'll give you some metaphoric symbolism, right? I had just dug the pond for the city of Wayne. And the city of Wayne jumped in feet first, jumped in, cannonballed right into the pond, right? And they thought, man, we won, you know, we conquered this. You know, we're standing at the bottom of the pond, we won. But that water level is slowly rising. It's slowly rising. And the city of Wayne, they're in denial about it. They think because it's only up to the navel, right? It's only up to the belly button right now. So they think, oh, no, we're good. You know, it's not going to keep rising and rising. No. That pond, it's got a natural spring, right? I'm the natural spring in the ground, right? And I'm just going to keep on springing that water up to you. And no, the city of Wayne, like I said, they have not learned their lesson, and they're never going to learn their lesson, because you can't teach good moral character, right? That's ultimately the biggest problem with the city of Wayne, is it employs, especially the department heads. The department heads, by and large, every single one of them, are of poor moral character. When I went to Georgia Military College, and the only thing that they really teach you, that they want you to instill in your brain, is character above all, right? That's the mantra. Duty, honor, country. I will not lie, cheat, nor steal, nor tolerate those who do, right? Let me repeat that, right? This has been brainwashed into me, and this is my life. I will not lie, cheat, or steal, nor will I tolerate those who do. So that is the mantra of Georgia Military College, and that is going to be the mantra of the city of Wayne, Michigan. I will not lie, cheat, or steal, nor tolerate those who do. And that is the truth, and that is 100% the facts, and that is always going to be the case as long as I'm the new sheriff in town, right? As long as I'm running for city council, as long as I'm on the ballot, or my name's in the hat, that's going to be the standard. That's the minimum standard, people, right? And we're going to pass the McFarland Bill of Rights. We're going to pass the McFarland ordinances, right? Ordinances that protect Wayne citizens from their government, because unfortunately that's what we need. That's what we got to have in this country. Unfortunately, in the city of Wayne, it's so corrupt that we have to enact a citizens' Bill of Rights. You know, we have to. I mean, I know we have the Constitution, we got the Michigan State Constitution and the U.S. Constitution, but unfortunately in the city of Wayne, Michigan, they don't take the Constitution seriously. They don't think it really applies. Their ordinances are the supreme law of the land, so they think. So, you know, unfortunately, we shouldn't have to do this, but we have to pass ordinances that protect citizens, private citizens, taxpayers, and residents from the city of Wayne government. Unfortunately, that's what we have to do. And that's what we will do, along with budget cuts for the police department, budget cuts for the fire department, looking at getting a new city manager, or better yet, just entirely revamping the structure of the city of Wayne government. You know, it's changing it from a council manager, unelected city manager running the city. I don't think so. And we're going to change that to a council or a mayor council system at the very least, right? At the very, very least. Now, I'm not against having a city manager. I prefer to have a mayor-manager system, right? A hybrid system. But I say, you know, for simplicity's sakes, for practicality purposes, I would say that a mayor council system will do just fine, right? So we actually have an executive leader, someone who can actually, pass an agenda and carry out an agenda. And, people have direct representation through voting versus what we have now, which is Diane Webb, who was ran out of Redford, Michigan, who makes $197,000 a year, who's a complete idiot, completely worthless, completely trash piece of shit human being. And, her solution to a $2 million budget deficit is, we're just going to hire more ordinance officers, guys. See, we're going to pay money and hire some parasitic ordinance officers to go and harass homeowners and business owners so we can try to extract money out of them. And then hopefully we extract so much money, we violate so many people and harass so many people that we break even, or better yet, we get a surplus of money so that way that person pays for themselves, right? Not knowing that it only takes one lawsuit, and not only that, but I'm going to encourage every Wayne citizen, if you've ever been harassed or ever, perfect example, right? These ordinance officers, these assessors, if they have walked into your backyard or into any part of your yard, any part of your property without your consent, right? I mean, they're allowed to knock on the front door and then they can wait a reasonable amount of time, then they can leave. But I've heard several people say, oh yeah, the tax assessor, they went right into my backyard. They walked right straight into my backyard. And it's like, oh, well, that's illegal as fuck. That's illegal as a holy fuck. That is the type of shit that I guess, unfortunately, we have to pass ordinances to make it crystal clear, right, that the Fourth Amendment is the law of the land, right? So we have to create an ordinance that adopts the Fourth Amendment as well as gives citizens additional protections, right? Because obviously how the Supremacy Clause works, you can't pass a law that supersedes or contradicts, a higher law, right? In this case being ordinances, but you can add or, create a law that encompasses a higher law, but also affords additional protections, right? So in other words, I can have a fortified Fourth Amendment, right? I can pass a fortified ordinance, right? I can basically say, here's the First Amendment, but let's fortify that a little bit. Or here's the Fourth Amendment, let's fortify that a little bit. Let's add some additional privileges, right? I guess we have to add a malicious prosecution ordinance, right? Where if somebody is found to be in violation of that ordinance, then they have to be fired. They have got to, at the very minimum, lose their job, right? I mean, if you get sued in federal U.S. District Court and, you have to settle, or, there's a good likelihood or a reasonable certainty that you maliciously prosecuted somebody and the facts are coming to light and it's undeniable, then yeah, you should be, obviously, right, you should not be employed by the city of Wayne after that. So, things like that, right? Ordinances like that. And, we're not going to falsely petition people, and there's going to be severe penalties if you do, that sort of thing, right? Unfortunately, that's what we got to have, guys, unfortunately, Didn't think, in 2026 that, some of these things would have to be spelled out, right? But unfortunately, at least in the zip code 48184, that's just the reality of the situation. So we again, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you listening, tuning in as always. And only you, right? Only you guys can fix this problem. I mean, I put my name in the hat. I got all my drafts. I got everything ready to go. And I'm gonna fight the good fight. But I need your help. I need your help. I need you to vote. I need you to vote. I need you to tell a friend. I need you to get out to the polls. That's just that simple. And as long as you do that, good things are going to happen. A lot of good things are going to happen, people. So, again, I appreciate your time very much. Fuck the Wayne Police as always, and fuck the Wayne Fire Department. It's not a real fire department, and it's not a real police department. And yeah. Oh, so like I said, before I go, just to sum it up, guys, we have the Hype Center lawsuit, right? The trespass lawsuit. We have the bulletin board lawsuit. We have the false petition lawsuit. So that's 3 right there that we have drafted and ready to go. And of course, as always, we're still working on the granddaddy of them all, the May 9th, the May 19th, the July 5th, the July 10th, and the malicious prosecution, all the Fourth Amendment violations and the malicious prosecution. So basically from May 9th to, I think it was discarded, I think February 19th-ish, but it's still actually ongoing. The harm is still ongoing. So that's one of the other reasons why we haven't filed, is because the case is still not technically over, because the ROA is, all the inaccuracies in the ROA, the background, the iChat submissions by the Wayne police, that's just woefully inaccurate. And even after the court's already, ordered them and told them to correct it, they haven't. So that is not good. Not good for them, right? And then, of course, they filed a motion to squash the hearing that the judge ordered, that they have to appear in person. And, they didn't get that granted. So, the city of Wayne argued that the court doesn't have jurisdiction to correct their own record, right? So, interesting shit. So, I expect that the judge is going to go elbow deep in their ass tomorrow. I certainly hope so, because that would be the only appropriate response, is sanctions, vacation of the sentence, and whatever the judge finds appropriate, because he used to be he's pretty much he's been a prosecutor, he's been a public defender, he's been a private lawyer, he's worked in municipal government. So, just the type of guy that we want proceeding over this case, the Honorable James Plakas. So, I have confidence that James Plakas is going to make, Judge Plakas, is going to make a informed, rational, sound decision, logical decision, fair decision. And, like I said, he's been tough on me, man. But like I said, once I filed my motions and it got through, and, he kind of got to look at the facts, I think he's been fair. I don't think he's went far enough with some of what he could do. And I think he's kind of, in a way, too, and this is a common theme in the transcripts, I think he's given the city of Wayne enough rope to hang themselves, and I think they did. So, I can only speculate. We'll know tomorrow, and you'll be the first to know. So, appreciate your time, guys, and knife hand out, right? This is the knife hand, right? So, knife hand out, and again, guys, take it easy, man. Enjoy your families, enjoy your kids, your wives, your husbands, your Boy Scout leaders, whatever you are into. Enjoy it, cherish it, and we'll talk to you next time. I got to go pay $4.20 for some gasoline. Fuck my life.